One thing about me is I always have way too many crafts, unfinished projects, hobbies that I'm trying to do all at once. But do I let that stop me when a new craft inevitably catches my eye? Of course not. And neither should you. So without further ado, let me introduce you to your new DIY obsession, the beaded picture frame. Hello, welcome. If you are here from my TikTok, special shout out to you. When I made this beaded picture frame for my best friend's birthday, I did not know it was going to pop off on TikTok like that. And I have to be honest, I really needed that. I hadn't had a TikTok pop off in like a minute, and your girl has been job searching, it hasn't been going well, rejection after rejection. So I just really needed a win that week. So I really appreciate you. Thank you for your patience while I have put together this tutorial video. I wanted to really put effort into it instead of just throwing an explanation on TikTok. So I am glad to have you here. If you're not from TikTok and you just stumbled upon this video, or maybe you're already a subscriber, a follower, hello to you as well. I'm Becca. I am just a girl trying to romanticize life in her late 20s. Over here, we like to do all girly things, honestly. We're fangirls for romance books and Taylor Swift, of course. Extra relevant this video. We're crafty, we're DIY girlies. We love travel and cooking and hosting and just making every day magical, even when things feel boring or messy. So if that sounds good to you, then you're in the right place, and I'm glad to have you here. Going from one mushy thing to the next, I just wanted to quickly touch on how I came up with this idea, why I made this beaded picture frame in the first place. This was a birthday gift for one of my best friends. I had been wanting to make a project like this for a while. I had seen some similar picture frames on Pinterest. Those tend to have more like big charms on them. And they're just kind of eclectic, which I love. And of course, I'm a Swiftie. I am trying to train her to be a Swiftie. You know, I think that everybody's a Swiftie. It just depends on what stage of life you're in. Like, there will come a time for us all when that Taylor Swift song just hits for you perfectly, and then from then on you're a Swiftie. Maybe I'm delusional and I just want everybody to like Taylor Swift as much as I do, but I decided to use Taylor Swift lyrics and friendship bracelet letter beads for this project for that reason. I feel like the lyrics, "To live for the hope of it all," just has really touched a lot of us, you know? That song, I can feel it coming, you guys. I can smell the salt air, and I'm starting to see the rust on the door, if you know what I mean. So I started around that theme. I wanted it to be beachy and wanted to have like the sand into like the foamy white, into the kind of like aquamarine, and then into the deeper blue that you see for the ocean. So I went through my own photos. You could use a picture off of the internet or even use my reference photo. I'll put it here. And then I just used that to follow the color scheme, honestly. I would say this project is super beginner friendly, very quick turnaround time. I made mine the same day I gifted it. And in my opinion, it is a DIY project worth gifting. I did want to mention, I didn't just buy all of this stuff for this project. I already had all of it. Perks of being a girl with way too many unfinished craft projects, I guess. And a lot of my charms and beads I have collected over the years from thrifting them. This is a big hack that I never see people talking about, but every time I'm at the thrift store, I look at the necklace section, like the costume jewelry section. If there's any unique beaded necklaces, I buy it and I just cut it and use those beads. And I have a container that was just empty, no beads in it, that I organize all of those in. For your convenience, I also made an Amazon list that I'll link in the description that just includes basically all of the supplies and like similar supplies that I used for this. Anyway, I won't take up any more of your time. This is like when you're trying to look at a recipe and you have to read the whole story about like their 10-year-old that doesn't like broccoli and how this got them to like broccoli, and you're scrolling and the ads pop up and you just need to know what temperature to preheat your oven to. That's what I feel like I'm doing here. So let's get into the tutorial. All right, first step is always gathering your supplies, setting up your station. Of course, we need a hot glue gun. I had a lot of questions about what kind of glue I used for this, and I did use a hot glue gun. I'm showing you this pink one first because this is cordless and I'm obsessed with it, but it wasn't charged, so I did have to use my orange corded one, and that one actually came with the Gorilla Glue sticks in a kit, so no hate to that one. And I do specifically recommend the Gorilla Glue sticks. And I did have a picture frame with some charms already. This is not a need to have, but if you need to get a picture frame anyway, you could always just grab that. And then of course, as I mentioned, I have all of my charms that I have collected from thrift stores and just random necklaces that I have cut up and organized haphazardly. And this is my cat. Hello, Charlie. Goodbye, Charlie. For this, I am using seed beads. They're the smaller glass beads that you see, and I have a large assortment of colors, as you can see. And then, of course, we need letter beads. I have some beads that have little designs on them. I have little stars and gold and silver pearls. I used the back of a paintbrush and tweezers for my tools, and then, of course, I have the picture frame. Now, the initial beaded frame that popped off on TikTok was just a standard blue ocean. As soon as I finished that one, I knew I wanted to try a beach sunset design, so I decided that I would make that one for this tutorial. I'm gonna tell you right now, it did not turn out as cute as the other one, in my opinion. You know, I think it just had a lot to live up to, but here is the inspiration photo that I used for this one, if you would like to reference that. So first things first, gather all of your extra charms that you're gonna wanna use. Anything that is going with the beachy vibe that we're doing. And then the second step is gather all of your letter beads to say what you want it to say. Of course, we're doing it for the hope of it all. And then I started out by gluing these letter beads on. You need these on first because we're gonna be putting the beads around them. One thing with hot glue is you're always gonna have all of that little like stringy bits. So make sure that you're removing those as you go, as they cool, so that you don't have a ton to clean up at the end. I felt like this really had to have a visual because it's a little confusing how I do this. I glue in little chunks. So I start with the corner here, as you can see. I add a bunch of hot glue, and then I grab a bunch of my sand colored beads, and I just start piling them on the glue. I'll use the back of the paintbrush, I'll use the tweezers, I'll use my fingers and try not to burn myself. Sometimes I will burn myself, but really it is a very simple process of gluing little sections and adding seed beads. I like to choose 1 to 3 different color variations of beads for the sand. I think that just makes it look a little bit more natural, and you just kind of vary that as you go. You want it to really look natural, and you really are the only one that can know how it's looking because you're there in person. But keep looking at the reference photo and it will come to you as you go. Another thing is you're going to want to add some of those charms or shell beads as you go as well, and then start putting the seed beads around them. Again, this is just kind of a, you eye it and you put it where you think it's gonna look best. I put the shell here, and then I just started gluing the seed beads around it. You want a variation in size and texture and color. That's gonna make it look more real and have it all blend together. One of the biggest secrets is you don't want any straight, harsh lines. So when you're doing the sand, make sure that where it goes up to on the frame isn't just a straight horizontal line. You want it to be a little like wavy. It's the ocean, guys. Wavy. So now we're going from the sand into the white foamy part of the ocean. So we're going with more pearly white beads, more size variations of pearls. We have the white shells that we're gonna add in there. This is a really crucial part to make this look like a real ocean, because that white foam is such a iconic part of the visual of the ocean. When you think about the ocean, you do think about the waves crashing and the white foam that brings. And as you can see, I'm doing the same strategy here. It's a little bit of a smaller section because it's only on either side and it's not the whole bottom, but I'm just gluing small sections with the hot glue, adding a bunch of hot glue there, and then adding the beads on top that work. I'm adding the bigger charms and shells and beads as I go and then working around them. It's a little bit of a trust the process moment sometimes, guys. But the whole time you are just hoping that at the end it will make a beautiful picture frame. Next up after the white, we are blending into kind of a aquamarine, light blue, green. This is where the foam turns into the water, and because this is a sunset photo, this ocean water is going to end up being a little bit darker. And something else to mention is that even with these seed beads, I have size variation, and I think that that helps the overall look too. I know it's so specific, and maybe you really don't even need to have this much detail, but I think it just makes it look more natural and like it's actually the ocean. So as you can see, we're really playing with that color variation. We're going directly from that sand to the white foam to the aquamarine to that darker blue that we have the ocean at because it's sunset. This would be a great place if you have any blue fish charms or like aquamarine fish charms. I think that would be really cute to just put in the ocean like this. Reaching the actual sunset sky part of this, I'm gonna be honest, I think this is really when we start to go downhill on this sunset inspired one. I think the color scheme of this and the colors that I had available just didn't blend as well as the other one. But again, still taking inspo from my sunset photo. We are going in with some red, orange, pink. One of my kids actually had a really pretty orange, pink, yellow combination, so I used a lot of that. That's my other cat. Say hi, Clem. She's gonna eat this microphone because it's fuzzy, so no more saying hi to her. And this is also where I start to put my star charms. In my initial one, I put the stars more in the sand and ocean part, but this one I thought it would be fun since it's the sky to put them in the actual sky part. Like we're starting to see the stars as the sun sets. And then like we did at the bottom, we're gonna start gluing our letter beads down. The tweezers really come in handy for gluing down the bigger charms and the letter beads. And then you glue down the last bit of beads in your last corner of the picture frame and you're done. You have your finished Swiftie inspired friendship bracelet beaded picture frame. And that is the finished frame, you guys. I hope that this made sense. I hope this clarified things for you. If you have any other questions, feel free to ask in the comments or, stalk me on social media at Forever Becca on both Instagram and TikTok. I will always reply to you. I will always make time for you. And post a photo and tag me if you do end up making this because I would love to see your versions of it. If you liked this or found it helpful and you would like to see more content about romanticizing your life, crafting, traveling, fashion, beauty, Taylor Swift, all the fun girly stuff, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new video. I also have recently launched a newsletter called the Forever Letter. It is now on Substack, and over there I will just be sharing more exclusive links, tips, and girly life inspiration. Basically, it's a love letter sent directly to your inbox. So I will link that for you in the description as well. Until next time, sending you love.